TNA Wrestling just crossed the line again as an enthralling emergence has not long finished from sold out. Tremendous, tremendous show. Kudos to TNA. They have been on fire these last few months. Well, they've been on fire for a while, to be quite honest with you, but this was a tremendous, tremendous pay-per-view for them. Surprises, yes. Great matches, yes. And just this has really epitomized TNA over these last months, 6, 7, 8 months or so. Great product, you know. Ultimate X returned, and it was just brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. But let's get into it. Pre-show match number one, Kushida against Frankie Kazarian was first up. A really good match between the veteran Kazarian, who wants to be known as the king of TNA now. So he got asked to be named the king of TNA. Um, so Kushida just straight away took him out with a flying knee on the apron on this. But this was a good back and forth opener. Kazarian really building momentum in TNA at the minute, and you have to think that, you know, it won't be long before maybe a title opportunity becomes his way. A good little technical battle in between as well, these two put on a really good opener. It ends with the fade to black. He did do a low blow, block that kicks the rope on Kushida for a low blow, and then hits the fade to black for victory. But Frankie Kazarian picks up the win. And now, as I said, he's been picking up win after win after win. He's got to be thinking he's in title contention somewhere in TNA. Maybe it could even be digital media, X Division, or the World Championship. But Kazarian and Kushida put on a really solid, action-packed opener in the pre-show, and it gets the crowd ready to go. Now, after that, and I did mention this week on Impact, on our Impact review, that there was issues surrounding Rich Swann, and we wasn't sure what was going on with the Bullet Club ABC and the scheduled match they were due to have with First Class for the Tag Team Championships Emergence. And AJ Francis was interviewed next from Gia Miller, and he said that he's actually got someone to take Rich Swann's place, so the title match would still be happening. And that person is KC Navarro. What a talent this guy is. Needs, KC, I've seen plenty of times over here in the UK. Brilliant, brilliant talent. And TNA really should look at signing him properly. I know that he comes in every now and again and does a few bits and pieces for TNA, but you're looking at a real talent there. And hopefully we'll see that they've signed him to a contract at some point soon. But an emergence, he will be teaming with AJ Francis against Bullet Club ABC for the tag titles, and that should be a really good match. In terms of like styles and chemistry, I would think that Casey would work very well against the Bullet Club and also be a good partner for AJ Francis. He's very much got the talent that Rich Swann has got as well. So, and he, probably a little bit more agile than Rich Swann. So it should be a really good match, and we'll see. The last match on the pre-show was the Digital Media and the International Heavyweight Wrestling Championship. Now, it was meant to be PCO Matt Cardona, but if you remember this week on Impact, Matt Cardona still said that he wasn't fully cleared to be in the match, and he would bring a monster to take on PCO. That monster was Shearer, the Indian Lion, which is interesting. But PCO immediately charged at him, and it just went to, well, I will say went to pot. It went crazy from there. They were in and out the ring. They were just doing a lot of hard hitting action for these two, as you could imagine. They did take a bit of time. I mean, Shearer did have PCO was beating PCO for several minutes during this match, and obviously there was the usual fight back that that you could imagine that a face would normally do. Then he does the Deaminator, I think it's called, and he's cheered on by Seth Deland at ringside. We must remind you that he is cheered on by Steph Delander, and he does hit the PCO salt to win this match. I don't think there was any surprise that PCO wasn't going to win this match with Cardona not being cleared or afraid, depending what you want to call it on this. It's not a surprise that PCO won. I didn't expect PCO to lose. What I do expect to happen at some point is perhaps Cardona to challenge PCO for the titles and beat PCO for the titles, and probably with Steph the Lander's help at that stage. That is my belief that that will happen at some point when Cardona grows a set of balls or when Cardona is medically cleared to do so. That is my belief anyway. But two really strong pre-show matches to get ready for Emergence. And, we're talking what a way to start Emergence as well. With the X Division Championship match, Mike Bailey, Zachary Wentz, Hammerstone, Hotch, Riley Osborne from NXT, and Laredo Kid. And Osborne literally took everybody out near enough to start this match with a sunset flip powerbomb. This was just, there was action everywhere. You couldn't keep your eyes, off of this. You couldn't keep sometimes you were missing out because there was just so much stuff going on. It was just a brilliant, brilliant opener. There was one point where they were all going across the cables in pursuit of the X Division title. It was just brilliant. It was, if you like, I've loved the X Division match. I've always loved the X Division match. There is um always excitement. There is always enthralling stuff. I mean, there was a bit where Riley Osborne got pulled off the cables, but he turned it into a shooting star press and just they blow my mind every time they do this type of match because it just, you know, it's just scintillating. Honestly, there's a few matches today on this card that I will say go out your way and watch, and this is obviously going to be one of them. Absolutely outstanding. Hammerstone, they all performed really, really well in this. Hammerstone was using the power. You had the quickness of Zachary Wentz. You had the sort of the all-round ability of a Jason Hotch. Riley Osborne was just showing everyone what he can do. Laredo Kid was doing a couple of bits as well. It was all action-packed fun and epitomizes what the X Division should be. Now, the real surprise in this, in my opinion, was the result of this match. Zachary Wentz wins the match. It was between him and Mike Bailey at the top. He broke the grip of Bailey and unhooked the championship. And Zachary Wentz becomes the new X Division champion. Now, I think that he's got maybe him that's got Wesley tomorrow night. No Mercy. I'll have to check that actually. Pretty sure that he does. Anyway, but Zachary Wentz of the Rascals, new X Division champion. Congratulations. What a match to start the show, though. Absolutely brilliant. The X Division is just probably one of my favorites divisions in wrestling, to be quite honest with you. And it was absolutely awesome. Loved it, loved it, loved it. More of that. And Zachary Wentz as XFB champion will be. It's a great, it is a great replacement for Mike Bailey. Mike Bailey was great at the short time that he had the X Division title, but Zachary Wentz will be a great, great champion in my opinion. And looking forward to seeing what is next with Zachary Wentz. But they went backstage. They interviewed Josh Alexander to Gia Miller, and he says he vows to leave the champion, and he wants to embarrass Nick Nemeth in the main event. Well, that easier said than done, obviously. The next match was between two sort of veterans. What was it? Veterans as such. A veteran and Eric Young. Macklin, he's been around TNA a while now. And this was a good back and forth, well put on match as well. You can tell that someone like Eric Young, obviously they work with the producers as well at TNA, but when you've got someone like Eric Young in there knows what he's doing, Macklin knows what he's doing as well. It is two great competitors that put together a really solid encounter. Macklin hitting Olympic slam for a 2 count. Young but sort of bounced back from that with a Death Valley driver. But Macklin was in control for a lot of this, to be honest. I mean, there was two caught in the crosshairs that he hit. Eric Young stayed down. Young starts biting Macklin. He hit the top rope elbow. Young hits the power driver for a near fall, and he's going for another power driver, but Macklin secures the jackknife pin. So it was a very much he outsmarted Eric Young in this, which was really interesting. It was really good to see Macklin use a bit of veteran instinct. These are two veterans. Eric Young may be slightly, annoyed about losing the fall out of it, just because, as a wily veteran, Eric Young that is a very much I would say rookie mistake to you to lose it by a jackknife pin, but very much something that will annoy Eric Young just because of how good he is, and B, how much of a veteran, and how much you see him do things like that in TNA to pick up victories, and he got caught this time in his own. But they did do a nice show of respect at the end. There was a good handshake at the end of this match between the two. So mutual show of respect. And I think Eric Young knew that Macklin got one over of him on that one, and especially with the jackknife pinfall. But Macklin, hopefully, we'll have to see what happens with him now. Him and Kazarian are really up there in shots for championships. You would assume anyway, but we will wait and see what happens with those two next. And obviously tapings are tonight, so it'd be great to see what happens with Macklin and Kazarian going forward. Nick Nemeth was checking in actually next with Gia Miller, and he was sort of being asked about what Josh Alexander had to say, and Nemeth basically says to hit harder and walk out the champion in the match, which is going to be 1 hour Iron Man match, which is I'm looking forward to watching. I'm looking forward to telling you my thoughts on it in a second. We had a knockouts 6-person tag. Jordan Grace and Spitfire, Luna and Jody Fett versus Ash by Elegance and Masha Slamovich and Alicia Edwards in this. And obviously the Alicia Edwards, Masha Slamovich being the tag team champions. And again, a solid knockout titles match. You know, it was literally chaos from the start. They brawled around ringside. There was a bit where Alicia Edwards looked like she was injured during this, and she had to take out, not been taken to the back. Not quite sure what the issue is, but she was taken out of the match right early doors. They were literally brawling to start. Maybe it was an awkward landing or something along those lines. I'm not quite sure what the deal was, but she did get taken to the back in this, and it kind of was a 3 for 2 on two on this now. And we had Jodie Fret, who's very, very much impressive. I know Danny Luna, I know what she's like. She is fantastic in the ring. We know what Jordan Grace is like as well. Um, and it's huge. Jodie Fret though sometimes goes a bit under the radar with it, but she was doing really good stuff in this match. Explode a suplex out of the corner. A lot of distractions from Ash by Elegance on this to give Slamovich the upper hand and bits and pieces like that. But there was a bit where finally, the hot tag would happen. The hot tag did happen, and Jordan Grace come in, and as soon as that went in, the pace went from 0 to 100, and she was going crazy. She hits the shades of the muscle buster. Ash broke up the pin, and then Fret hit Ash with the pop shove it while Grace was playing defense to start a big win for those teams. Not sure of the extent of the injury yet of Alicia Edwards. We're going to need to find out. Hopefully, it's not too serious, and we wish her well. And otherwise, they may have to drop the tag team championships, which is what generally happens if there's an injury. So hopefully, it's not as serious as well, hopefully it's just not serious, really, and they don't have to drop the titles. But yeah, good little knockouts match. The injury kind of affected it in a way, in my opinion. It would have been better had all 6 women been at ringside, but it is what it is, and we wish them well. But a big win for Jordan Grace and Spitfire puts Spitfire back potentially with in the title hunt, perhaps for a rematch for their tag team titles. We'll wait and see. There was a bit on social media actually afterwards where Matt, I was going to say Matt Delander, Matt Cardona called Steph Delander his property on socials, and Steph Delander basically was saying she's going to see Matt Cardona this week on Impact. So we're going to get a confrontation between Delander and Cardona, which should be very interesting indeed. World Tag Team Championships next. Now, as you remembered earlier on, we mentioned that AJ Francis secured the services of KC Navarro to replace Rich Swann in this match. Against Bullet Club ABC, and I tell you what, it was brilliant. These, again, we sort of mentioned how good AJ Francis is getting, and the continuation and development of him, and with KC Navarro, it is brilliant. He is such a good worker in that ring, and someone that would complement Rich Swann really, really well. In terms of a replacement, it was Casey. He was so impressive in this, but ABC was doing the innovative double team events and double team offense, a lot of it on Navarro as well. And they're just, it's so good to see them back in um, the ring, basic back together properly. When they had these issues a few months ago where we wasn't sure if they were going to split up and was it going to be, all over for the Bullet Club ABC, but it certainly wasn't. They were doing some great double teaming in this match. It was very enjoyable. AJ Francis continues to impress. Casey Navarro is just so good, and I'm hoping that TNA secures the services of Casey Navarro to a contract as soon as they possibly can, because he is going to be, or he is something special, and he's showing how good he can be. This match itself, Francis did hit Chris Bay with a down payment near the end, but he wasn't the legal man because Casey Navarro tagged himself in. And then Ace Austin took out Francis with the fold. And then Chris Bay managed to roll up Casey Navarro to win and retain a title. So, in that kind of sense, that first class, or yeah, I might as well call it first class still, because it is a new, different first class, could have an argument to say that they had the tag champions beat and that they need a rematch. Who knows? I'm not the booker by any stretch, but that could be their argument. So they could use it going forward to try and get their tag team championship rematch. We'll have to wait and see on this. They had a great. Now the next match, you need to check out the entrance between with Joe Hendry and Matt and Jeff Hardy. It was a mash-up entrance, and they joined forces with Santana to take on the system, the whole system. Moose, Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, and Dango. You need to see the entrance. It's brilliant, by the way. Really good 8 man. This was continuation of the feuds that have been happening. With System have been, they took out Jeff Hardy. They've been having a problem with Mike Santana. They've had a problem with Joe Hendry. So this was a really good sort of 8 man. I wouldn't even say brawl. It was a good. It was a solid 8 man tag. Santana was doing some leaps off the top rope and flying everywhere. It was quite amazing to see Santana do all of that stuff. The Hardys were the Hardys. We saw a twist of fate to Myers, but there was a JDC, Johnny Dango, prevents the follow-up Swanton bomb early. And then obviously Jeff Hardy does it was the usual Hardy's were being worn down for several minutes, and then makes the tag to the person that we all believe in, Joe Hendry, who's facing Ethan Page tomorrow night for the NXT Heavyweight Championship. And then, when he tagged in Joe Hendry, he's got fall away slams. And even Myers ended up spearing Johnny Dango in this. Moose went for the step up cutter, but Hendry avoided it. He hit a pop up power bomb on Edwards. Matt Hardy was hitting side effects as well. Moose speared Matt as they were going through the usual way that 8 mans, when everyone starts hitting their moves, and this was going on. Matt was hitting the side effects. Moose spears Matt. Jeff hits Myers. He puts him face first and hits a swanton bomb. Hendry hits the standing ovation. Matt has Edwards beat following the twist of fate, but Moose pulls him away. And then Matt hits Moose with a twist of fate as well on the floor. And then Edwards delivered a low blow on Matt Hardy, followed by the Boston Knee Party for the victory. It was an interesting way to hit win the match. It's cheating a little bit, but the system needed that win because they had been on a bit of a bad run for a good few weeks now. So that was a very big win for the system. And after the match, Moose basically said that he's called out the TNA, the winner of the TNA Heavyweight Championship match, basically. Which I believe has been accepted, funnily enough. I'll have to go back through my list on socials, but I believe that was accepted. I even think it was accepted for this week, actually, on Impact. We'll have to double check. But let's get it. Let's get on to it. 1 hour Iron Man match for the TNA Heavyweight Championship. I mean, what can you say about this? What can you say about the two guys in this? It was it was just brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, this match. I, I can't wax lyrical now. It took like 12 minutes before the first fall, which was actually won by Nick Nemeth, and it was basically an ankle lock attempt by Josh Alexander that Nemeth rolled up actually. So again, it was like one of those matches we said earlier with the Macklin and Eric Young match when we're saying that it was kind of a one up. Shouldn't really get beat but that way, but you did. And it took 12 minutes. It was 12 minutes of great action, though, by the way. It was really, really good. Um, and then, a little bit later, it didn't take too long. I mean, Alexander was getting cocky now. He's 1-0 down in this, but he was delaying vertical suplex. He was kind of thinking that it was a matter of time before he got the next pin on this. And in the end, the cockiness ended up catching him out because Nick Nemeth hit the famouser and then got caught in the danger zone and went 2-0 up in this match. Um, and at this point, then what I would say with the match is that it started quite slow and methodical. The opening sort of 10 minutes and stuff like that started very slow and it built up, and great conservation of energy in this match as well. Because if you go out all guns blazing in an Iron Man match, it's usually the back end of it that suffers. What they did well here was they built it. It was built. It was a slow build. You had the pin 4 attempts, and then after Nick Nemeth went 2-0 up, it kind of kicked on a little bit, and then they was exchanging blows. Nemeth knocked Alexander's headgear off with a headbutt. Funnily enough, they had him in the ankle lock for a while. It was didn't tap though. Then Nemeth got thrown into the referee. Because Alexander threw him into the referee with the referee out, and Alexander then introduced a table into the match. He tried to C4 spike him through it, but Nemeth countered with a back body drop on the apron. Alexander hits a spinning tombstone on Nemeth, and it's still not enough to keep him down. Alexander then distracts the referee with a chair, then pulls an object out of his trunks and hits Nemeth over the head, and then hits the C4 spike to bring it to 2-1. And then just as quickly as he does that, he hits another C4 spike after he got the pin. So Alexandra really utilizing and being very clever with that. He hit the C4 spike, he got the pin, and the moment that match started up again, he hit another C4 spike, taking advantage of Nick Nemeth being weakened by this, and picked up yet another pin to level it up. And then Nick started to come back. He hit a sleeper, which was, Nemeth got out of. Alexander climbs the turnbuckles, and they tumbled over the rope to the floor. They both made it in before the count of 10. Nemeth makes it back. So Nemeth made it back in as well. And then back body drops Alexander through the table. A little bit later, he got another C4 spike, but Nemeth got his foot on the bottom rope. He connected with a super kick for yet another near fall. And as the last few minutes, the exhaustion was kicking in. You could tell these guys had left it all out in the ring. Alexander then hits danger zone on Nick Nemeth, and it got a close fall. Nemeth avoids another C4 spike and then connects with a danger zone and then hits Alexander with the C4 spike uh, to his own finisher, and for the win for 3-2. And the time expired at the end of that match, and it was Nick Nemeth defeating it 3-2 in the ring. Well, 3-2 in the Ironman match. But then, just when you think Emergence is going off the air like that, John Bradshaw Layfield, JBL, a Texas outlaw, comes out, confronts Nick Nemeth in the ring. He did whisper something in his ear before leaving Nick to celebrate. But John Layfield in TNA Wrestling, what is going on? He's been around. He was in GCW recently as well. Walks out with his long black, trench coat. What does he want in TNA Wrestling? And more particularly, what does he want with Nick Nemeth? Well, hopefully we'll get some answers as Impact gets taped this weekend, and it will be on this coming Friday. And do not forget, everybody, you can watch TNA Impact on the TNA Plus app. Get it downloaded, get your subscription in there to watch TNA Plus, to watch TNA, to watch Impact, to watch the pay-per-view. You could have watched it on Thriller TV, Impact, AXS TV, or the TNA Plus app over here in the UK, Sky Channel 186 and DAZN streaming. Get yourselves on it. Cannot wait for this week's Impact, the fallout from what was a tremendous emergence. Guys, keep it locked on our channel, HTT Buckle on Twitter and on YouTube, hitting the Turnbuckle Podcast on Instagram. We'll be back with some more review shows. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.